often do you think about the sun? While it fuels all life on Earth, its ultraviolet rays can wreak havoc on your skin. Here's a surprising fact. Using sunscreen regularly can slash your risk of skin cancer by 40%. Yet millions of people still skip this simple but life-saving step. With global sunscreen sales expected to hit $24 billion by 2030, it's clear this product has become a household essential. But here's what you might not know. Crafting sunscreen is no simple task. It's a fascinating mix of science, safety checks, and regulatory hurdles. So stick around because you're about to see sun protection in a whole new light. Step 1. Selecting the ingredients. Each sunscreen begins with the selection of active and inactive ingredients that will determine its efficacy, feel, and longevity on the skin. There are two main types of UV blocking agents: physical blockers and chemical absorbers. Both are used in modern sunscreens, but each has its unique properties and application. Physical blockers such as zinc oxide and titanium dioxide sit on top of the skin, reflecting UV rays like tiny mirrors. These are often preferred for sensitive skin and are found in products labeled as mineral sunscreens. Chemical absorbers work differently. Ingredients like oxybenzone, austenosate, and avobenzone absorb UV radiation and transform it into harmless heat. This process is known as photolysis, and it happens so quickly that you never feel it. These chemical sunscreens tend to be lighter and less visible on the skin, which is why they are often preferred for daily use. However, their formulations need to strike a delicate balance because if not properly stabilized, these chemicals can break down under the sun's rays, becoming less effective over time. In addition to the UV blocking agents, manufacturers also add a range of inactive ingredients to improve the product's texture, spreadability, and longevity. These include emollients like silicones or plant oils, which make the sunscreen smooth and pleasant to apply, as well as preservatives to extend its shelf life. Some sunscreens also contain antioxidants like vitamin E or green tea extract to provide added skin benefits, while fragrances and colorants can make the product more appealing. Sunscreens formulated for specific uses, such as sports or water activities, also include waterproofing agents or anti-sweat compounds. Before an ingredient is approved for a formula, it must survive a grueling series of tests. Each chemical or compound undergoes a rigorous evaluation to ensure it meets the exacting standards of regulatory giants like the FDA or the European Medicines Agency. This step is where the groundwork is laid for a product that promises both safety and quality. Now, before we move on, make sure to hit like and subscribe. It's a small gesture that will prevent us from getting sunburned by YouTube's algorithm. Step 2. Formulating the base. Once the raw materials are chosen, the next step is formulating the base. This is no simple task. The base needs to serve multiple functions: protecting the skin from UV rays, spreading evenly, feeling comfortable on the skin, and staying effective even after hours of wear. Creating a product that delivers all of these benefits is one of the biggest challenges in sunscreen formulation. At its core, the base is a blend of emollients, thickeners, emulsifiers, and preservatives that ensure the active UV blocking ingredients perform optimally. Emollients make the product feel smooth on the skin. Common emollients include silicones, such as dimethicone, and natural oils like jojoba oil, which provide a soft, moisturizing texture without making the skin feel greasy. Next come the thickeners. These give the sunscreen its consistency. Without thickeners like cetyl alcohol or carbomer, the sunscreen would be too watery, running off your skin before it could do its job. These thickeners allow the formula to stay put on your skin, even during outdoor activities. Finally, preservatives are added to the mix to prevent microbial contamination and extend the product's shelf life. Sunscreens are particularly prone to bacterial growth due to their high water content, so preservatives like polyethanol or parabens ensure that the product remains safe and effective over time. Step 3. Mixing. Once the ingredients for both the base and the active UV filters are selected, They are combined in large industrial mixers. If too much or too little of an ingredient is added, it could mean the difference between a sunscreen that protects you for hours and one that fails to block harmful UV rays. Manufacturers use high shear mixers, which are specialized machines designed to mix ingredients at incredibly high speeds, ensuring a smooth, consistent product. These mixers allow the components to blend thoroughly, breaking down particles and creating an even distribution of UV-blocking agents. The mixing process is conducted in large stainless steel tanks, which can hold hundreds or even thousands of liters of sunscreen formula at a time. Temperature control during mixing is key. Some ingredients, particularly the active UV filters, are sensitive to heat. If the mixture gets too hot or cold, the ingredients may not blend properly, leading to a product that separates over time or becomes less effective. To prevent this, the tanks are equipped with temperature regulators, ensuring the formula stays within a precise range throughout the entire process. Once the mixing process is complete, the sunscreen is almost ready, but before it can be bottled and sold, it must undergo several rounds of testing to ensure it meets safety and performance standards. Step 4. Emulsification. One of the most critical steps in the sunscreen making process is emulsification. Most sunscreens are oil-in-water emulsions, meaning they contain droplets of oil dispersed in water. Since oil and water don't naturally mix, emulsifiers are needed to bring these two phases together and create a stable, homogeneous product. The oil phase typically contains UV-blocking agents, emollients, and preservatives, while the water phase consists of humectants and water-soluble ingredients. To blend these phases, manufacturers rely on emulsifiers like polysorbates and stearic acid, which help the oil droplets remain suspended in water without separating. Without emulsifiers, the sunscreen would break down into separate layers, rendering it ineffective. In the emulsification process, the oil and water phases are combined gradually, often under heat and pressure. Once the emulsification process is complete, the sunscreen is passed through a homogenizer, which reduces the size of the oil droplets even further. But emulsification isn't just about texture. It also plays a crucial role in the product's effectiveness. If the sunscreen isn't well emulsified, it could leave some areas of the skin exposed to harmful radiation, while other areas receive too much product. After emulsification, the sunscreen is typically cooled and transferred to storage tanks, where it will be held until it's ready for testing and packaging. Step 5. Testing for SPF and quality. Before sunscreen can hit the market, it must undergo rigorous testing to ensure it meets the necessary standards for safety, effectiveness, and quality. One of the most important tests is for sun protection factor, which measures the product's ability to protect the skin from UVB rays, the type of radiation responsible for sunburn. To test for sun protection factor, or SPF, the sunscreen is applied to human volunteers or synthetic skin models, which are then exposed to UV light. The amount of time it takes for the skin to burn is compared to unprotected skin, and the SPF is calculated based on this ratio. For example, if it takes 15 minutes for unprotected skin to burn and 150 minutes for sunscreen-protected skin to burn, the SPF is 10. But SPF isn't the only measure of a sunscreen's effectiveness. The product must also undergo tests for broad-spectrum protection, which ensures it protects against both UVB and UVA rays, the latter of which contribute to skin aging and cancer. Broad-spectrum sunscreens must block at least 90% of UVA radiation to meet FDA or international standards. In addition to SPF and broad-spectrum testing, sunscreens are subjected to stability tests to ensure they remain effective over time. These tests involve exposing the product to extreme temperatures, light, and humidity to simulate real-world conditions. If the sunscreen separates, changes color, or loses its effectiveness, it fails the stability test and must be reformulated. Water-resistant sunscreens are also tested to ensure they stay on the skin when exposed to water or sweat. This involves applying the product to volunteers, who then engage in water activities or exercise for a set amount of time. The sunscreen is retested for SPF after exposure to water or sweat to ensure it still provides adequate protection. Finally, sunscreens must pass microbial tests to ensure they are free from harmful bacteria or fungi. Since sunscreens often contain water, they are particularly susceptible to contamination, which is why preservatives are added to the formula. Step 6. Packaging and labeling. After the sunscreen has passed all its tests and met regulatory standards, it's time for packaging. Sunscreens come in a variety of forms, from tubes and bottles to sprays and sticks, and the packaging is carefully designed to protect the product from contamination and degradation. The packaging process typically begins with filling the sunscreen into pre-sterilized containers. These containers are made from materials that are compatible with the product, such as plastic or aluminum. Some sunscreens are packaged in airless pumps, which prevent air from entering the container and help extend the product's shelf life. Once the sunscreen is packaged, it undergoes a final round of testing to ensure that the packaging is airtight and leak-proof. After the product is packaged, it is labeled with important information, such as the SPF, active ingredients, expiration date, and usage instructions. In addition to the required labeling, many sunscreens also include marketing claims, such as water-resistant, dermatologist-tested, or hypoallergenic. These claims must be backed by scientific evidence, and manufacturers are required to submit documentation to regulatory agencies to prove their accuracy. And once the sunscreen is packaged and labeled, it is ready for distribution. Manufacturers work with retailers, wholesalers, and online platforms to get their products into the hands of consumers. The sunscreen is transported to warehouses where it is stored until it is ready to be shipped to stores or directly to consumers. So, do you think sunscreen is truly necessary? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you're learning something new here, hit that like button and subscribe. It's less sticky than sunscreen, we promise.